Over the past week, I've spent 12 hours with Warframe, 4 with the new Apex Legends, and 5 in Anthem's open demo period. And as the week ended, a question struck me. How long can this games-as-service trend continue? As entries in a prevalent subgenre, these lifestyle games rely on players returning to them as often as possible. They're only as good as their long-term, cash-spending player base. Overwatch does this through holiday events. Destiny does it with major expansions. Warframe hooks its players with a drip feed of character progression, asking them to farm resources across an array of complicated systems. For many players, this model is ideal. Rather than spending $60 on dozens of games each year, they can instead focus their time and money on 1 or 2 of them. They can master their mechanics and ideas, catching up with friends on a set schedule based around a weekly rendezvous. They can devote their time to fewer virtual worlds. But at the heart of this development model is an inherent problem. As each new lifestyle game releases, the genre cannibalizes itself. Players either move from one platform to another or remain loyal to the games they already know. Here, time is the most valued quantity, and eventually, there won't be enough to go around. Now, this problem isn't entirely new. Video game developers have always competed for players' time and money with robust feature lists and attractive box art. Shooters introduce new maps, MMOs annex their existing worlds. Single-player adventures pace their stories to keep players engaged until the end, only to introduce a New Game Plus mode upon completion. Theoretically, this lends more value to the player's purchase. And of course, value is always subjective, but in the case of lifestyle games, the question of value becomes even more complicated. This is due in large part to the notion of an endgame. Developers often consign their best ideas to these later stages, from Destiny's 6-player raids to the Division's cutthroat dark zones. The mere act of getting to these features could take dozens, if not hundreds, of hours. Only then can you see the fruits of your labor and witness the full potential value of each game. And of course, barring any Prisoner of Azkaban hourglass shenanigans, seeing the entirety of each of these games is literally impossible. You almost have to decide where your loyalties lie. That's why this development model is becoming increasingly risky. More so than any other genre, this one relies on players' loyalty to be successful. If a studio can attract new players, hook them, and keep them entertained, it can recoup its money with each new update, expansion, or microtransaction. So when I see BioWare, a company long known for its single-player RPGs, trying to break into this sphere, I can't help but worry as the release approaches. It's entering an arena that's already low on real estate. It's competing with the likes of Fortnite, Destiny 2, Black Ops 4, Warframe, Rainbow Six Siege, For Honor, Apex Legends, Monster Hunter World, and even Sea of Thieves, which has seen a massive recent boost thanks to prominent Twitch players. And of course, there's the elephant in the room, The Division 2, which releases exactly 1 month after Anthem. Developer Massive Entertainment has the clear advantage here. It has 3 years of experience with the previous Division to draw from. It has an avid, existing fan base following every news story, every update out of the studio, and its publisher, Ubisoft. If I'm BioWare, then this is the last game I want breathing down my neck. You might look at Anthem and The Division 2 and think they're completely different games that wouldn't compete, but they rely on the same survival techniques. It's no secret that BioWare is a shadow of its former self. Any RPG fan would probably echo this sentiment. Even before Mass Effect Andromeda's release, with its poor critical reception and tumultuous launch, the studio lost many of its veteran members. What's more, Andromeda's creator, BioWare Montreal, was then absorbed into its sister studio, EA Motive, in the aftermath. From the outside looking in, it seems as if BioWare's very survival relies on Anthem being the next big thing. A recent report on Kotaku reinforces this notion. News editor Jason Schreier spoke to numerous BioWare employees who think the studio's future is inextricably tied to Anthem. This comes after news that Mark Dara, executive producer of the Dragon Age franchise, which has a sequel in some stage of development, was moved to the Anthem team. With BioWare Edmonton and BioWare Austin completely focused on the loot shooter, it's clear the developer is betting most of its chips on Anthem being a hit. To be clear, I'm all for competition fueling creativity in any video game genre, and from what I've played of Anthem during its pre-release period, I've had a lot of fun. Despite how repetitive it can be, I thoroughly enjoy how smoothly it plays, and I can't wait to see the final product. Yet, as I said before, this genre relies on more than just good mechanics. And with the Division 2 on the way and a plethora of other lifestyle games still going strong, I can't help but see BioWare as David facing off against a dozen Goliaths. But of course, if history tells us anything about that age-old story, it's this: the outcome is never set in stone.